Alright, I've got some more VHS stories to tell you. In today's episode's a double feature. We're going to look at the Piledriver tape and another WWF music video that almost made me cry as a kid when I got home. Enjoying music through the medium of video isn't uncommon, and as a matter of fact, music videos can help make certain songs way more enjoyable and memorable. Today, music videos are more accessible than ever thanks to YouTube, but before YouTube, you'd tune into music channels to watch videos, or if you were really into a band or artist, you could buy a videotape. The chances of hearing your favourite wrestler's entrance theme on a music channel, though, was non-existent. Albums were released that featured some tracks, but a lot of them were inaccessible to fans. Remember how I said it was hard to get certain VHS tapes here in the UK, and especially hard when not in mainland UK? Yeah, well, imagine what it was like trying to find wrestling theme songs. It's stuff like this, though, that would make a modern wrestling fan laugh their ass off, but I'm being totally serious. If you wanted a copy of a certain wrestler's theme song, you'd be stuck with a crude cassette recording that had commentary over it and a ton of crowd noise. You could get lucky and get a clear version of a theme song if that superstar had their own special compilation video and it hopefully had the entrance music playing during the intro, but that's as good as it would get. It was the fucking dark ages. I'm a massive fan of wrestling theme music, and I'd get the song stuck in my head constantly. I had a few of those crummy cassette tapes that had crowd noise and Vince McMahon yelling his head off as Bret Hart's theme played in the background. So imagine how I felt when I went into town after saving up some pocket money to buy a WWF video, and sitting there among some great pay-per-views was a WWF Entrance Music VHS tape. I got one look at this in the store, and nothing else even got a first look, never mind a second look. This was an immediate buy from me, and I couldn't wait to play this thing. Finally, good, clear versions of some theme songs that, at the time, were hard to come by. On an old hi-fi system, you could connect some audio cables from the video player to the hi-fi itself, just like an aux cable, and you could record the audio from your VHS straight to a cassette. We would do this to get music from music channels and whatnot. So the plan was to record this VHS on the cassette and boom, holy grail TDK cassette tape. But no, it didn't quite turn out that way at all, and I'm going to tell you about that tape very soon. But before we get there, let's take a look at the first ever music VHS tape that the WWF released, Piledriver, the Wrestling Album 2. The Piledriver album, released in 1987, was the second WWF album released in stores by a major label, Epic Records. Piledriver was only officially released on vinyl and cassette. There's a European CD that was sold at merch tables, but that wasn't an official release from the record label. Quite commonly, artists would release videotapes to coincide with album releases, and these tapes would usually feature a few music videos and maybe some behind-the-scenes footage. A good example here would be the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller. That VHS tape itself sold 1 million copies, so there was definitely some money to be made by releasing music on video. The WWF released a Piledriver video with the catalogue number WF045, and I'm not going to go through this and review every single song because tastes in music vary widely, and you're going to like things that I don't and vice versa, but some of the music videos contained on this VHS tape are really fun to watch. You've got stuff that'll make you cringe, stuff that's so bad it's good, and you've also got some legitimately good music set to some action in the ring that gets you pretty pumped up. George Stevens presents the tape. It says here he's a producer, and according to Wrestling DVD Network, he produced the album, only he didn't. It was produced by Rick Derringer, so fuck knows who this guy is. I'm sure he produced something, I just don't know what. George says we have a few music videos to watch in today's presentation, and he sends it over to Joe, a construction worker who was on site during the recording of the Piledriver music video. He says when the WWF boys showed up, his construction workers left because they looked puny and weak beside Vince's muscle men. Yeah, this guy's an actor. He says if he had a crew of wrestlers, he could finish a building in 2 days. And that really depends, mate. Quite a few lads don't like doing the job, if you know what I mean, brother. The Piledriver music video then plays, and I don't think I need to go through this one. I'm sure you've seen it already, and if not, just watch it complete on YouTube and enjoy seeing Vince McMahon checking out ladies walking through the construction yard. I mean, why are they there in the first place? You'll see Hulk Hogan thinking he's awesome pouring concrete on a helpless foreman played by Arnold Skaaland, Coco Beware losing his shit while singing lead vocals, more out-of-place women, Hulk Hogan munching his sandwich. The videos, it's the WWF superstars doing something they don't normally do, but the song isn't bad at all. I'm sure many have fond memories of this. Skolin gets interviewed for the VHS tape and he says he had a lot of fun working on the set. Honky Tonk Man says we're about to see him sing and dance in the greatest music video ever put together, but first Honky Tonk Man has a few things to get off his chest. He says he was supposed to be the lead star in the Piledriver music video, but the producers gave him the wrong address. He got on set and his pink Cadillac got all dusty, the ladies on set stole his favourite scarf, but that's okay because the Honky Tonk Man has ladies like that everywhere he goes. The music video for Cool Cocky Bad then plays, and there he is, icy title and all, making girls freak out in the audience while belting out one of the most recognisable theme songs of this era. Jimmy Hart's here too, giving it stacks, and you can tell he's having a great time. And I don't care what anyone says, absolute banger of a theme song. George, the producer, says he had to put this disclaimer at the end of the video because Honky Tonk Man paid for all those women in the video to scream and faint. Fantastic. Next up, you get a track that makes every penny you spent on this video totally worth it. Demolition by Rick Derringer. Here comes the axe and here comes the smasher. The music video features explosions and fires and destruction and shit while Demolition destroy their opponents in the ring, and it's awesome. I watched this back a few times while scripting the video actually, it's so good. Georgie Boy then says we're gonna see Mean Gene Okerlund in a way we have never seen him before. We cut over to Mean Gene walking into a classroom. The teacher refers to him as Dexter Peabody. Dexter's here to show the kids another boring ass music documentary about Beethoven, but Mean Gene remembered to take his acid this morning and instead he shows a video of himself and Rick Derringer singing Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. The kids love it, they get off their seats and dance as Hulk Hogan plays guitar and the teacher can't resist either. She gets on the table and starts taking off her clothes as the sweet sounds of Mean Gene's voice are just too much to handle. The school principal shows up and he gets a good look at Mrs. Brooks' scrambled eggs between the legs and he's not amused. Mean Gene Okerlund, on the other hand, says my work here is done. George says he wishes his high school teachers were just like Miss Brooks. I'm sure you do, George. Girls in Cars is up next and a young Jim Johnson talks about the track. He says when he spoke to Strikeforce about what they'd like to include in their song, the conversation always went back to girls, and that's the deep inspiration for our next track. Robbie Dupree sings the song with seagulls in the background and we cut to footage of girls in cars. And this is just so 80s, man. It's great. Girls in cars, girls in cars. I love girls in cars, folks. It's not quite Bob Dylan, is it? And it kinda makes Tito and Rick look like a pair of hornballs, but again, back then, people liked this. For me, it's one of those music videos that might ruin the song a little, but that's just me. When Strikeforce came to the ring with just the instrumental playing, I thought it was better. And hey, a lot of us like girls and a lot of us like cars. The combination of both is also quite appealing. That's not the issue with this video. It's old Robbie Dupree here looking a little awkward at times. The video then cuts to Slick eating chicken, and I'm not kidding either. From Girls on Cars to our guy eating KFC and all the sounds that come with it. Slick says Jive Soul Bro is the big hit from the album. Slick's a better vocalist than Robbie Dupree, Jimmy Hart, Coco Beware, and he's a better dancer too. To prove it, he asks for a drum roll before the Jive Soul Bro music video begins to play. I changed my mind by the way, Demolition's good, Jive Soul Bro is on a whole different level. This song's awesome and the video's great too. Slick gets rejected by women because he's a Jive Soul Bro who's always lying to his friends, and it ends with a gang of people following Slick down the street as they tell him he'll never get nothing in the end. If you've never watched this video for Jive Soul Bro, then that's your homework assignment for today. And this part of the video ends with Slick once again saying he's the best and telling viewers to beat it so he can rest his golden voice. The owner of the restaurant then tells Slick to sit down and get his wallet out, he has to pay for his meal. Next up we have an all-time classic, the song that made the planets align and the song that almost brought us world peace. Stand Back by Vince McMahon. The Slammy Awards performance is what everyone remembers, and rightfully so. That performance is something else, and I don't know what kind of spirit possessed Mr. McMahon that night, but unfortunately the Slammy live performance isn't included on this tape. Instead we get clips of Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, but just listening to the studio version of Stand Back will still make you laugh. The tape ends with If You Only Knew, sang by a bunch of WWF superstars, and many of you guys will remember this one too. We've got Jimmy Hart, Randy Savage, Bobby Heenan, Slick, Ted DiBiase, JYD, the British Bulldogs, Coco Beware, Hulk Hogan, and loads more singing If You Only Knew What I'm Gonna Do to You. The smooth pop instrumental mixed with all these dudes singing about how they're gonna fuck you up is a little jarring to say the least, as is the filters that are used in some points of the video, but it's one of those little oddities in wrestling that's still memorable, for better or for worse. They need to recreate this with modern wrestlers, by the way, that would be good. Alright, that was Piledriver, and you pretty much got what you paid for here. Music videos of some, not all, but some of the tracks from the Piledriver LP. If you like the album, then you would have been happy with the VHS tape. No issues, good stuff. So, that tape that I bought, check out the cover. Superstar Entrance Music Vhs, because you, or I, the fans, requested it. This is it, HBK's entrance video, Bret Hart's entrance video, The Undertaker's. On the back it said there were loads more, like Ahmed Johnson's absolute banger of a theme song, Mark Merrow's, Owen Hart. Man, I couldn't wait to get home and watch this thing. Not only will I have full entrance videos, but also clean versions of all the music in glorious stereo. What a time to be alive. I rushed home, I put that fucker in my video player, I turned up the TV and told my mom not to make me any dinner cause I'll be fucking pretending to be Psycho Sid making his way down to the ring. The video starts with the Superstars TV intro for some reason, but let's overlook that. The legendary Gorilla Monsoon presents the tape and he hypes it up so well. He says, "We, the fans, requested this. We love hearing those entrance themes, so it was time to put them on video, and we're gonna start it off with a big one. Bret the Hitman Hart." I'm so fired up. Gorilla tells us to get ready to rock, and what in the name of fucking ripped off is this shit? They did it. They really did it. They put entrances on the tape, turned down the commentary, and sold it to gullible little fanboys like me. They technically didn't lie, it's still entrance music videos, but of course it's not what we'd expect. You want to see Titantron videos, and of course not everyone had an entrance video back then, and only a few wrestlers had a video that would play on the screens as they made their way down to the ring, but they didn't even bother putting a few clips together to create original music videos. It's a wrestler's entrance with crowd noise, but with the commentary track turned down. I was livid. I told my mum to put that dinner back on, and I put away my Psycho Sid cosplay. The next entrance is Davey Boy Smith heading to the ring during a Superstars taping. Rule Britannia with crowd noise. We then get the Smoking Guns entrance at King of the Ring 1996, and then Goldust's entrance from the 1996 Royal Rumble. Gorilla doesn't introduce the tracks beforehand. He knows he just let everyone down with that intro, and he decided to get the fuck out of the studio before bricks get sent through the windows. To be fair, if there's a wrestler that no one wants to cheer for, then you do get a decent version of their entrance music, but that wasn't good enough. I was already fast forwarding through this 40-minute videotape. I then looked at the cover and I didn't read it carefully as a kid. It says here, the most outrageous entrances in the squared circle set to the coolest music in the World Wrestling Federation. So it kinda tells us right here that it's just entrances and nothing more. But it also fucking says up here, Superstar Entrance Music Videos, because I, the fan, requested it. And outrageous entrances? Is Davey Boy Smith walking to the fucking ring on Superstars that outrageous? Smoking Guns at King of the Ring 1996? Oh, we all remember that one, don't we? Absolute dog shit. Gorilla's back, and look, even he's disappointed. Now, this next part's something that made me smile when watching it back, and it's gonna seem so trivial to everyone else. The Bret Hart tribute song, You Start the Fires, up next, and anyone who watched the WWF during this time period would know that song. It's great. For the longest time, I could have sworn I heard and watched a different version of it. A version with no spoken dialogue at the start, and a version that had an extra guitar track playing throughout. I searched for that version for ages, and I watched the multiple re-uploads of the track that's found on YouTube and the WWE Network, and I could never find it. Well, you guessed it, it's on this tape.
The best.
Every time I heard You Start the Fire, I'd always hear that alternate version in my head, and I thought I must have been imagining things because I simply couldn't find it. So settling that internally and finally hearing what I had in my head for so long made me pretty happy. And I know it means nothing to everyone else. It also tells me though that I must have watched this Bret Hart video a million times if I still remember it all these years later, so maybe it wasn't a total waste of money, but I'm still angry about it. Next we have the Godwins and Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy. This song's been removed from the WWE Network and Peacock. It's a classic, but again, it's a random Raw entrance and the audience is loud here. Did I mention too that Hart Finkel's ring announcements can still be heard in these music videos? Yeah, well, hope you like MC Fink all over your music because that's what you're gonna hear. Check this out too, the entrance begins at Raw and then when the Godwins make it to the ring, we're magically at King of the Ring. What is this? Ahmed Johnson's next and it's lifted from In Your House International Incident. The arena wasn't mic'd up so well and the reverb completely kills the track. Have a listen. Triple H's Blue Blood theme's up next, sure to fill up any dance floor across the world. Nobody cares for Hunter around this time, so you actually get a clean enough version of the track. It just seems like there's a lot of people talking in the background and saying they're going to take a toilet break. Justin Hawk Bradshaw's theme plays next, and it isn't a bad track, though it's ripped off from something and I can't remember what it is. Let me know in the comments. The Undertaker's entrance at SummerSlam 1994 is then shown and they picked the wrong show here. The return of the Dead Man made the Chicago crowd go nuts, so if you're wanting to hear Taker's theme in all its glory, this wouldn't have been good enough. We go to Gorilla and he introduces a special Taker tribute piece and it's the Spirit of the Undertaker video. Once again, this is an alternate version that isn't out in the wild, and before you say it, it's not the one featured on Taker's Spotify album, it's not the one from the free-for-all, and it's not the one on YouTube right now. This is another cut that's different from the common version, so at least there's that. At the time though, I couldn't have cared less. I'd almost flooded my room with the amount of tears I cried after purchasing this video thinking it would be something else. Alright, let's burn through the rest of these. Vader at WrestleMania 12's our next entrance. The Bushwhackers on an episode of Superstars with a giant kangaroo follows. Yokozuna makes his entrance on Raw after that, and I can't imagine too many people seeking this one out to be honest, but maybe they did. We get Mankind at the 1996 King of the Ring. We then go back to In Your House International Incident where Sid makes his entrance. The Body Donnas make their way to the ring on an episode of Superstars, but you don't get to see Sunny, you get to see Cloudy instead. Savio Vega comes to the ring during an In Your House event, but just like the Godwins, it switches venue halfway through, not that it matters. The King of Hearts, Owen Hart, comes out next and we get teased. You can't hear the audience at the beginning and then some funny bastard decides to blast the crowd noise way too high. Wildman Mark Mero and Sable then come to the ring, great. And then Gorilla Monsoon closes the video out by saying Shawn Michaels is one of the most flamboyant superstars in the World Wrestling Federation, but at one point his career was in jeopardy. Nobody wanted to believe it, everyone wanted Shawn to tell them a lie, and yeah, Tell Me a Lie plays, the hardest wrestling song ever written. Thankfully, Gorilla comes back one more time to introduce one of the greatest entrances in WrestleMania history, HBK at WrestleMania 12. If I wanted to see this entrance, I would have watched my WrestleMania 12 video. And there you have it, 2 WWF VHS tapes that covered the music of the World Wrestling Federation, kind of. Nowadays, this kind of stuff's completely redundant. Entrance music's available at the click of a button in great quality, and you can get it practically anywhere you want, on your phone, in the car, in bed when you're doing the deed with Doink's music playing in the background. A lot of you will maybe watch this and say I'm overreacting, but when you're a kid and you can't get this stuff anywhere else, you kinda go through some stupid lengths only to get let down. And I know, there were WWF CDs out when the second tape was released in 1996, but I couldn't get them, nor could anyone I knew. They weren't stocked in shelves, and you didn't even think of importing from America because there was no way our parents would spend that much on a CD. You know how bad it got at one point? Ripping entrance themes from In Your House on the PlayStation 1. Seriously, there's a sound test that had CD quality entrance themes, but I got that game after I bought that second video. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, something a bit different today, and I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching guys, and take care.